Welcome back to another episode of the Hopecast. Today we brought back Healy. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Yes, our pleasure. Steve, how you doing today?
You know what? I'm a little froggy, but I'm here. It's one of those things. That trip did me in, and I still have this lingering cough. I don't know what's going on.
Well, at least you got to go to California and see your daughter.
That's true. That's true. We had a good time. That was fun. But now it's not as much fun because I've been bombarded with stuff online, and people are getting in the negative soup when they get their numbers, right? And I know we kind of hit on this, but I go, can we talk to the individual that's trying to understand when they get that cancer word and they're trying to go through this emotional roller coaster and still be there for people, still be there for their family and be supportive, but we need help. And these people are going, I don't know what to do. I'm going to run. You're going to take care of it. There's a solution, but how do you help somebody out of that funk?
That's a question for Healy.
You and I couldn't figure it out, so I figured she would help us.
Well, I mean, that's kind of a tough question because a lot will really depend on a lot of your personality, how that is, and a lot of the skills and how you do life before that. So, if you've had a life of running when things get hard, I mean, that's going to be a natural go to is you're going to want to run. It's going to be hard to stay put if that's been your go to. So, I mean, for those that are listening that don't have a diagnosis, I would say you get healthy mentally and emotionally before something happens so that you're able to cope with it better because that's going to help you do better. Not to say that you won't do well, because sometimes this will bring out our parts of our stuff that we need to work on, which is good. But for the person that wants to run away, I would always say don't run because it's going to catch up with you. It may look different of what the situation is, but eventually it catches up with you,
Sure.
I
Yeah,
think.
I'll bounce off that real quick. So, relationship advice when the man is dealing with things down below that's not working, because that's one of the side effects of prostate cancer.
How do you um, emotionally deal with that, or how do you talk to your spouse about that?
I think both. So I'm not quite there yet. My surgery's next month, and that's one of my biggest fears that I'm ever going to be intimate with my wife again. And if I'm not, like, how to get past that? And like, obviously, there has to be conversations between the two people.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the same thing I mentioned. Like a lot of this depends on how you were before. Can you talk about intimate things? And hopefully, couples are able to do that to some extent. And then that is something that you can discuss. Now, I would say you have to talk to your doctor to see like what are the limitations and then talk to each other about, okay, like this is what this is going to look like. That's going to be a struggle. How can we still love each other in a physical way if this is the hindrance? And then you work on that together. So I think the not so good thing to do would be everybody just hold their stuff in and hopefully it'll somehow work out. It's really important, just like in every other aspect of marriage. Like we got to talk about it and we got to say, okay, what's going to work for us?
Yeah, I'll probably take that route where I'll just bottle it up and explode.
No, you're not.
My surgeon did tell me that there's a possibility of losing it down there, and he said, "Well, there's things that we can do to help it. You know, there's pills, and okay, I'm all right with pills." But then he also said there's surgeries and there's pumps, and I'm like, "Well, we all know how much I like surgery." So I told my wife that's probably not going to happen.
But
Well,
see,
who knows?
you're missing steps in there though, because as soon as you have surgery, they're going to get you on 5 milligrams of Cialis a day just to keep blood flow. Then from that, they're going to go, you can experiment by taking up to 20 milligrams and see. Then they'll go, did that do anything? And they'll go, well, why don't we give you Viagra and you can take up to whatever. And they walk through those steps. If that doesn't work, your next favorite option is going to be injections. And I mean, then you go, that's not really a concern, right? Because you go, okay, but wait, now they're talking implants and they're talking about all this. And you go, I'm not going down that route, right? So you go, it's going to go. It all depends on what stage it's in and if they can spare the nerves. If they only spare one, it's going to take longer to get things back to normal. But what scares me is people are making decisions about their health and this cancer journey on if they're going to lose a half an inch or if it's going to work. People, you're alive. If that's the only motivational factor you have, there's other problems we need to talk about. But it's something that, you have to take each little step and figure out how it's going to work best for you and your partner. But that's the physical aspect of it. The mental side of it, you go, oh, don't worry about it, and you hear that and you go, what are you talking about? This is something, it's major, right? I've had my little friend my whole life. And now there's changes and people go, well, you can get that if you have radiation as well, but it is later. And I go, but why the fixation on, I guess I don't understand how this is the first thing that they're worried about. And they do it. First time writer, I found out I was 33. I had this, I had that. I'm worried that I'm never going to have sex again. And I go, boy, we need to talk. But I think there's something there. Everybody thinks about it. Richard, you've thought about it. I thought about it through this process, but that isn't a deciding factor on.
Yeah, I will admit that I have thought about it, but it's the farthest thing from my mind right now. I mean, to me, it was a no-brainer. I'm going to get surgery and getting this thing out of my body. Like,
Right.
not even a thought.
I was just going to say, because during any diagnosis and the treatment after, you're going to experience, and we talked about this last time, lots of losses. And those look different, but it's important to process those, talk through those, and work on how to cope with those. So we're not going to deny, like, we're not going to worry about that, but just acknowledging it as that might be something that I have to grieve or work through or walk through, but I will do it. But life might look different afterwards. And yes, so we land at we're living, that's good, and we don't stay in the ditches, but just recognizing the ditches are there.
Yeah, they are. And they do mess with your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and you go, wait a minute, how is this? But that's something to work through. But Richard said something interesting when we were talking a couple days ago. He said, I am calm. I am eerily calm right now. And I go, that's a good thing, right? So what stage is he in all this? What do you think? I think that's a good thing because he has thought through that. My daughter even talked about it when she was on the show, but she loved the fact that you said, think about the best possible outcome. Now start throwing in all those scary things. How would you deal with it? Well, they're not as scary one at a time. And she goes, I listened to that, a couple times just for that section. And she goes, it helps me. And I go, there you go. This is what we're trying to do. But the calm before the storm, I had the same thing. And is this normal?
Well, I think anything when you're going through a difficult time is normal. This is an abnormal thing in life, and the emotions that you have are normal, of course.
Yeah, he's all, I'm not buying that. Yeah. What do you think? It
Well,
doesn't seem normal when you're going through it, though.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't seem that way, but that's one of the things that's not going to feel like that's normal, but it is. That's like if you think about the grieving process, that doesn't feel normal, but it is. You've got all sorts of emotions tangled up in there, and it's the same of getting a difficult diagnosis is that of course you're going to go through a jillion emotions. I don't know if the calm could just be the own assurance that it's going to work out and I'll deal with it as it comes, or it could just be the underlying everything's going to be okay, or it could even be some of right now I'm not feeling anything and I'm not recovering and the surgery hasn't happened yet. It could just be, that nothing's happening. So I'm feeling okay.
I
I
think
don't know.
I think where my mind is, I told myself a couple weeks ago that there's two paths that I'm going to take. I'm going to take one of the two paths. The first path, I'm going to go and I'm going to survive and I'm going to live a long, healthy, happy life. The second path, this doesn't go so wrong, and it might be the end of my life. And what's the worst that's going to happen to me? I get to go spend eternity in the kingdom with I get to see my mother again. So, and I'm not really that scared to die, to be honest with you, because I have a strong faith in God. Obviously, I don't want to die because I just had a granddaughter. She's only 2 years old, and I have a lot to live for with my nonprofit
Yes.
podcast and helping people. But the alternative is, to me, I mean, it's like, okay, I had a conversation with my mom years ago after she passed away from cancer, and I don't really talk about this, but I was in a horrible place. She passed away like 25 years ago. I was in a terrible place. I was depressed. I was sick. I left the doctor's office. Um, I either had pneumonia, shingles, and a migraine headache. And this was going on for 5 solid years after she passed away. I hate to say this, but I hated God, and I told him about it a lot and over those 5 years, and all it did was drive me down deeper. The way I explained it to people was I was living at the bottom of a well, and I could just see a little tiny light at the top. And every time I climbed my way up, and I thought I was going to climb out of it, something happened. You know, one of my mom's siblings, or for some reason, my family turned on me. I don't know, and I still to this day I don't know why. But every time I got to the top, and I was like this, climbing out, like I had a relative to step out of my fingers, and I'd drop right back in. And so finally, after 5 years of doing this in and out of my doctor's office, and I've known my doctor my entire life, right? So I've been going to him since I was in junior high. This is when I lived in Detroit. And finally, Dr. Wright put his prescription pad down. He pulled up his chair, sat next to me, and he said, Fleekster, what is going on? Because you are way too young for all these issues. I was only 30 years old when my mom passed away. So at this time, I was 35. So I told him, I said, hey, this is what happened. You know, my mom passed away, and I just can't shake it. And he looked at me and said, and these words changed my life. He said, listen, you have to start living your life the way your mom would want you to live. If your mom was alive right now, she saw the way you're living right now, what do you think, what would her thoughts be? I said, oh man, she'd be beside herself. She'd probably be worse than what I am right now. He said, exactly. Start living your life the way your mom wants you to live. You have to live for your mom now. And so it like, you know, a light bulb went off, right? So I went home, and I still had shingles on my face. The shingles were so bad that they were around my eye. He was worried I was going to lose my right eye because it was that bad. I went home, ate dinner with my wife and kids, and I went to bed early that night. And I knelt before I went to bed. I knelt on my bed, and I prayed to God, and I apologized to him for hating him and cussing his name, and I just laid it all out to him, right? And I laid in bed, and it was the first time I actually had a solid sleep in 5 years. And but before I fell asleep, sun was going down, and like this opening in my bedroom opened up, and all my past relatives, like my grandparents, were coming out. They lined this corridor, and my mom walked out this corridor. She sat down on my bed, and she rubbed my face while she was talking to me. She rubbed my face where my shingles were, and she kept saying, Richie, stop worrying about me. I love it here, man. It's beautiful. I don't want to come back. It's absolutely gorgeous here. You have to stop worrying about me. I love it where I'm at. It's beautiful. And she kept saying that. And I fell asleep to her rubbing my face. I woke up the next morning, and I was energized. I was like, I was finally alive, right? And I went downstairs, and I was telling my wife what happened. I was like, man, my mom and my aunts and uncles and grandparents, they all came to me last night, and my mom told me it was beautiful on the other side. And my wife goes, you might want to go look in the mirror. And I was like, why? She said, your shingles are gone.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
My shingles would not budge from all the medication, everything. My shingles would not budge. My mom came down and talked to me out of my funk, and my shingles were gone in one night. So I have that.
How much God loves you.
That is a mic drop right there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm eerily calm, because the worst case scenario, I get to go live in the kingdom with my mom.
Exactly. Worst case scenario is not worse at all.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking, wait a minute, what are you? Don't call that the worst case scenario.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, nobody wants to die, right? I mean, some people do, but like you don't want to die, but you have something to look forward to when you do die. So
Yeah.
my point.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the best place for the calm to come from. It is that underlying peace to know my future is secure no matter what. So this surgery or, you know, all the treatment that lies in, it's fun. Yeah, good. That's the best kind of calm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So also with that, I've been reading your relaxation techniques by Healy. I, well, my favorite page is this last page, the scripture meditation. I love this one, man,
Good.
and I'm definitely going to use this more often. It's some powerful stuff here.
Good. If any of your listeners want a copy of that, it is on my web. I'm going to do a little commercial. It's on my website, writtenbyhealy.com. You just sign in, create an account, and you'll have access to lots of my resources, and relaxation techniques is one of them that's on there. People kind of always make fun of deep breathing and those kind of like, there's very simple techniques. There's nothing, new under the sun, as they say, but it can be so helpful. We don't have to get like trying to create something new. Like, it's been proven that things like this will help if we'll do it and be consistent about it. So, yes, whether it's the scripture meditation or the, you know, just breathing.
Yeah, I've trouble with that.
Mhm.
Usually, I'm a very calm person, but like when I get amped up, man, like you just forget to breathe, man.
Yes.
It's crazy.
Yes. Yeah. And, if you think about the brain does those things to protect us, we just have to kind of train our brain that I don't need protecting right now. Like, it is really safe. And so breathing can help the brain get back to our cognitive abilities where we're like thinking logically again. So, yeah. Yeah, a deep breath
So is
is
that
I
what I
kind of I was just going to say I use it sometimes because I tell my clients this, to be really good at it, you have to practice just like any skill. And so when I encourage them when they go to bed at night to practice the deep breathing, just do it for a few minutes every night for a couple weeks, and then they'll get good enough and it's easier to pull up when you are feeling really anxious. One of the things that I love about it, but it trains your brain also to go to the places where you want it to go. So if you've got those circling thoughts and whatever your worry is and it's just circling and circling, you can't get it to stop. This is what normally keeps us up at night, right? I normally just do the deep breathing, at 2 a.m. when I'm thinking about something that I can't control. Normally I'll just breathe for a few minutes and it'll just put me right back to sleep. So, because you're focusing your mind on your breath and not all the thoughts. So it's a good distraction technique, but also training technique of brain. Go where I say go. You just don't do your own thing.
I don't know if we already touched on this, but before you came on, Steve asked if he could ask a certain question. Did we already answer that?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to steal your thunder, but
No, you got into it. It was the people making decisions about, shrinkage and all of the things that are part of the picture. And I don't want to dismiss that because everyone goes through that. And it's the more I do research and the more we're all going through the same stuff. It's just what degree are you dealing with that situation? You think you're cool here, but somebody else has that up here where you can switch and it balances. But I think this breathing technique, when you hit that flight or fight or freeze thing, you get through that, and that release that you get on the backside of that is what you're searching for, right? To get yourself, you said you keep going around in a circle in that roundabout and you finally find something that lets you get off the silly thing. And it's when you get into that mode and your brain is going through all those scenarios, you need to be able to stop it. And that's where the breathing truly does work. And you said practice it a couple minutes a night. People are going to realize when they do that and they add a couple more techniques, it will make them go to sleep.
So Richard, for example, like what are one of is are there some scripture listed on that? Is there one that did I list some on there?
well, you said like helpful phrases may include God is with me, God will help me, God will give me strength, and God will hold me up.
Yeah. So just like using the breathing techniques with a statement like that, like God is with me, which I just love in the Bible so much. When he says, do not fear, he normally says, for I am with you, which basically says we don't need to worry because we got God, the creator of the universe, by our side. But using one of those statements, even if it's something, even if you're not faith, that you can use a statement that brings you encouragement, that you use that with your breathing to really really get that down into your heart where you believe it, like, I'm going to be okay, or I'm going to get through this. Maybe since you don't know the future if you're going to be okay, but I'm going to get through this, and do that in conjunction with the breathing can really transform your thought life.
Yes. I feel like I love having you on because it's a free therapy session.
Oh, you didn't get a bill? I must have talked too much last time. I got the bill. All right.
I was going to say,
Send it to him this time. He asked for it. And there you go. No, but I think this is awesome because we come up with questions and he goes, "Well, I have to ask Keely," because it's one of those things. It's that quest for knowledge. Give me another tool in my tool belt. That doesn't mean I'm going to go build a house with all of this, but in that situation, if I can take some of this and some of that, you put them together and you can get yourself out of that hole. And I think the support staff that we keep talking about, I don't know what we're supposed to tell our spouses and our family when, and I did it the other day when we were talking. I go, "I am so sorry." And my daughter said, "What are you sorry about?" I said, "If I didn't have cancer, all of these things wouldn't have happened." And she goes, "But you didn't choose to have cancer." And I said, "How many times did you watch the Healy episode?" Because she kept throwing all this stuff back at me, and I go, "I don't understand that the flight that you have, I don't have the flight." I go, "Okay, bring it on. What are we going to do?" But at the same time, you're still scared. You still don't know what's going to happen. They're using terms you don't understand. You're doing a grounding message, and you have it. "I will meditate in your precepts and consider your ways," right? Do something. And we've said this a lot. Just find that something that will get you away from the situation. Pick up, I don't know do you know how to crochet and do chains? I see little kids doing it. It can't be too tough. Make yourself some socks. You'll be done by
sure,
next year. Yeah, it's not that easy. But
just because
anyhow,
kids
it's
can do
one of
it
those.
doesn't mean we can.
Yeah, for real.
Put up a puzzle together. Is that better? You're
Yeah,
a puzzling person or a bird watcher. I don't care what it is, nature
exactly.
and some vitamin D. Get out there and get out of your headspace.
Yeah.
And it's really, really hard to do. Other than the relaxation side of this, what's our next step? Okay, we're relaxed. What do we do? Do we go back towards that thing that freaked us out and
Yes.
analyze why?
Yes.
Help us
You
through this
know,
one.
here's my thing on the why of life. I don't think we have to know why everything. I think sometimes the why can actually get in the way of our healing at times. Sometimes if it's easy to figure out the why, that's fine if it helps you to the healing, but we don't need to know the why to change or to do something different. Just do the thing. Just do the different thing. You can figure out the why, or if it's revealed to you, that's great. But can we even know all the whys in life? Like, why me or why not me? Like, those can't. I don't know that can be answered. And I think they just end up frustrating us to just figure out, okay, this is my lot. This is where I am. Now, I don't know if I told your listeners, but I think I told you guys that I was working on a resource, or that I was going to work on a resource. Let's see what it meant. I am working on it. I've just got to do some proofreading and stuff on it. It's basically, I can't remember the name, but basically it's ways to help your mental health after you've been diagnosed, received a difficult diagnosis. I'm sure the title's shorter than that, but basically just some ideas on things to do to help you once you have been diagnosed with something that's hard. I mean, if it's not cancer, it could be something else that's really hard and can be life changing. But some of the regular other things is I think that just learning as much as you can, not too much and not over, too much of a deep dive, but learning about, for example, prostate cancer and all the treatments available. That helps you feel confident and have good questions and choose the treatment that's good for you. That's going to help you feel more, I don't know, what would you say, versus if you know nothing and you're just going in trusting the doctor. Like, what do you think your mental health is going to be like when you do know stuff and when you know nothing? What would y'all say?
I don't know. When I didn't know anything,
Do
I
you now,
learned.
though?
Yeah, I
Well,
still don't know anything.
I learned pretty quick
Yeah,
that there were things out there that were constant.
right.
I didn't go with the weird offshoot thing, hey, you need some horse medicine or whatever. It cures cancer because, cancer is a virus and it's
Right.
I'm like, okay, stop.
Right.
If that works for you, you know, come on. I got rid of my face and what happened? Things are going to change and you just have to figure out how you're going to accept that. But I don't think you have to label everything, but at the same time, when I was told it shut down, the more information I got in the beginning scared me more than it was worth. And I saw that with my family as well. They started, nitpicking and asking questions I didn't have answers to.
Yeah.
But when I looked at the Google, you know what it's going to say.
Yeah.
It's going to say you're going to die. It
Right.
doesn't matter what it
And
is.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Well, in that sense, I kind of mean more of course, you're not going to know anything when you're first diagnosed, but you guys did go to groups to get support. Maybe they were helpful, maybe they're not. You listened to doctors. You might have done some research on your own. That does help you feel a little bit better going in, but recognizing also, I mean, we are not going to research all these things before we actually get something, so we're not going to know. But my mom has had breast cancer 5 times.
Jeez.
So if I go into that, if I develop that, then I think, okay, I know a little bit, but I'm going to look at and see what are my options, at least educate myself and know so that I can feel confident going in where I'm not going, I don't know what to do. That's not going to help me. So sometimes we don't want to go into all the Google things, but we can, if there's some resources in our area or something where we can go get some verified information from good, helpful websites or good, helpful doctors that can provide some different, so all the treatments. So you can decide, do I do surgery or am I going to do chemo or am I going to do radiation or am I going to do, and where you have some choices about that. I think it's, I've just heard some people where they do just the first thing and then sometimes they learn more afterwards and feel kind of like, well, maybe I shouldn't have done that. But
Right.
of course
And
you don't
I
want to
think it
do.
depends on how you do the deep dive,
Yeah.
and where
Yeah.
you get that information.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
support group, and we've talked about it, the people that go through surgery and don't have a problem, they're not back on the page telling you how easy it was. You're hearing the horror stories and then you go, what if that happens to me? And you go, what if it
Yeah.
doesn't? Yeah, there is that side to it as well. Not guaranteed to
Exactly.
have bad stuff.
Yeah.
So
So some other things that people can do is make sure that you're, talking with your community, getting support from them as you need, whether that's your church or your family or your friends. That part's hard, but I think it's important because we can't do our journey alone in life in general, but we certainly can't do it alone when we have a illness or diagnosis that's, difficult. Making sure that you're keeping your regular routine up, that if you do have to take a little bit of time off work, that you do that, but not, you don't want to just crawl in a hole and not do stuff because that's going to be a killer to mental health. So you have to make sure that you're staying healthy, keeping your thoughts healthy, keeping your behaviors healthy, doing things like that.
Yes. That's exactly why I stay away from Google and WebMD. I don't need help.
Even AI, I don't even know that you can trust that. I'm always like, cite your sources, AI, because I don't trust you.
I don't believe that one. Right.
Right. What's your source? Somebody's
So
blog?
I don't know. I think that's part of the journey too, right? Is to try to weed through all of that, figure out
Mhm.
what you're going to do. But I brought it up before. It's like when a lady that is pregnant is anywhere, anyone in the world comes up to them and gives them advice, and they start going on, and going through all that. It's not like that. It's weird. Prostate cancer is not talked about. And today I said, so he was talking about all these issues. I go, what's your PSA? And he goes, it's point 0 to whatever. And I go, oh my gosh, that is awesome for your age. I mean, it's undetectable basically. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I kind of got scared when you were talking about it. I go, that's awesome. That to me, to have somebody that said, I went and had it checked because I wanted to know. Buddy in California that I went to see, he goes, I'm at 1.2. And I go, you're still in the good zone. So, congratulations. But now you have a baseline. You can follow that and see what's going on, because the stuff you gain as far as your knowledge is knowing when to be alarmed. Because when you're first diagnosed, you're scared of everything. And as you learn more, you go, I don't have to worry about this unless, right? And it prepares you. If this happens, here's my game plan. And I think that's the way I went into this in the beginning. I said, get it out of me. It's big, it's ugly, it's aggressive, it's outside the margins. I want it gone. So if I have to do something else, I have a plan. And they go, why didn't you just do this in the beginning? And I go, again, why can't you be positive with these people and support their decision? Because you don't know all the facts. And so I want to be that guy. But when you're in a world of all the negative stuff and people start and you feel the weight to get out of that hole, is that when you go to meditation and breathing and trying to get yourself out of that? Or do you have to play in that dark area for a while to know what's there? If that makes sense.
Yeah, if you're talking about just the emotions in general, I think it's okay to allow yourself to feel them, but to kind of put a time limit on it. Not necessarily you have to say 30 minutes, although maybe, but you definitely just want to keep it in control. So if you want to have the pity party and go to the dark place and beat yourself up or all these things, I think that's fine, but you better be able to get yourself back out of it too, where you can go, okay, that's enough. Which, I mean, I think that's, we do that in life too. It's okay to be a little pitiful, once in a while, but we don't want it to drag on where it's going on all day or every day. Like, that's not going to be helpful for us. So if you need to go crawl in a hole or into bed for 30 minutes or an hour, hey, I think that's okay. And you just want to feel bad about yourself, but you want to be able to pick yourself back up too and go, okay, that's enough.
Get out of the hole.
Can't stay there.
Yeah, but I don't know about, a time limit on it. That's funny that you said that, because okay, I'll get back with you in a minute. Let me go for a walk. And you come back and you go, are you good? I was, until you asked that question. Let me go walk again or something. Everybody deals with that differently. I don't know. I think I look at it, it's a logical thing. It's, you did this because I don't want to argue with anyone why I did what I did. I don't want to argue with them about what they do. The support of the people that are going through it, the ones that just got diagnosed and they're scared, those are the ones I want to talk to. They go, breathe.
Right.
You have time, breathe. Nothing with prostate cancer happens fast. You're 6 weeks in between appointments and a week without, the results and all of that. And it is an emotional roller coaster. And I caught myself to where I started reflecting that anger and that, because it was making me mad. I go, number one, why are we waiting this long? Number two, why me? Why me? I feel, I want to talk about me, and I started doing that. And I go, but I noticed that I was starting to project my anger, onto what did they do? And I go, they didn't do anything. That's on me. And so then I had to snap back and get in that headspace. But it's easy to do because what we're going through is not easy.
Yeah. So you have to give yourself a little bit of grace. Of course, I'm angry. I just got a crappy diagnosis, So you don't beat yourself up about it. I mean, you will have to go apologize, to the people that you snapped at, but you don't just beat yourself over the head about it. You just, apologize and try to do better, but recognizing it's a difficult time. Of course, my emotions are going to be all over the place. Of course, I'm going to be angry. Like, that's a normal part of it. And I'll try my best to manage those emotions. And that's why it's important to be doing healthy things, thinking healthy thoughts, doing healthy behaviors, because that's going to help you process through all those emotions where you don't feel like I got to snap at someone to get it out, because that's kind of what you're doing when you're projecting anger at somebody. You're expressing the emotions in an unhealthy way versus expressing them in a healthy way of saying, dang, this thing makes me mad, or, I got to go do something to get out all this energy.
I don't get mad. I have a weird sense of humor, so I joke about it. I'll joke about cancer at work, and people are like, I don't know if I should laugh or like, why do you say stuff like that? I'm like, I have to joke about it because if I don't, I will literally go crazy.
It's a coping skill, right? You go, hey, if I make fun of it, then I'm not going to have to hear the ugly stuff from them. I guess it's, I use the same thing, but it's kind of a shield to go, I don't want you in my shell right now. I'm in a funk, and if you come in, that stinking thinking's going to get us both in that area. So let's get out of it. But it's so easy to slide into that. And when I would snap and I'd go, I am so sorry, and they go, no, it's okay. It isn't okay. Don't say it's okay to me, because I feel bad that I did that. I feel bad that I put us all in this situation. You didn't choose it. And I'm back in that loop. I don't know how to get out of that.
Well, what they're saying when they say it's okay is basically, I understand. They get where you're coming from. I mean, of course, biting someone's head off is not okay. I presume that they're saying, I get it.
Yeah, I
Would you
didn't
say
bite
that's true?
real bad, right?
Well,
It
that's what
was
I'm
just
saying. Like, they
you
get it.
snap,
They
and yeah, they go,
understand.
oh no, I get it. I'm going through the same
Yeah.
thing. And that was something I had to think about, what my wife was going through with all of this, because the news to me, and I start getting they're going through that too. They're dealing with the same thing from a different perspective, and they're having to deal with all of your BS. So I was trying to be very thoughtful with all of that, but at the same time, I keep getting into I am so sorry that this happened, because we went through a lot of stuff with my surgery in the aftermath that I feel bad that they had to deal with it. I was listening to my daughter talk about it with Richard, and I started to lose it. And I go, she was all, I wanted to ask you questions, but you weren't talking about it. Did you want to, or did you? I felt like it's all I was talking about. So when it's a brain break from that, it was good. But I told her, I said, no, at no point should you worry about asking the question. That's how you're going to find out the answer. So ask. I'm okay. I will get through this. I'll be back to being the same old crazy dad you had before, but I'm going through some stuff, so I tried to compartmentalize it that direction, but I don't know that helped the other people that were trying to help me.
Well, it sounds like, and tell me if this is true or not, that you have expectations of yourself to not be a trouble to anybody.
Yeah, I'm the problem solver. I
Yeah.
shouldn't be the problem.
Yeah. Well, that's an unrealistic expectation that you have of yourself.
You just burst my bubble. I'm going to go away now.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But because
Unrealistic.
that's an impossible expectation for anybody to have. Of course, we're going to be a problem or trouble or burden. I don't really like that word, but I don't know another word, to other people. We're not going to be perfect. We're not going to handle things perfect. We're going to have illnesses. That's why in the marriage vows it says in sickness and in health, because it's predicted that we're going to have those things. So if we're expecting that, I'm so sorry that I'm causing you stress, it's like, I mean, I understand the sentiment, but at the same time, it's like, that's unrealistic of you to expect that you're not going to cause your family some stress,
I
because
think
that's just how
the
life deals.
stress, yes, that's going to be part of it, but they didn't need my anger.
Yeah.
They didn't
But
need that. I mean, I needed to be able to grasp onto that and settle down and not go over the edge. But it's cancer, and you're going to go over the edge. But it was hard to accept the fact that I needed people to help me solve the problem instead of me solving all the problems. And that's in my head. I mean, I understand that's my problem. It's unrealistic, but how do you get it out?
yeah, you just change your expectations of yourself to be realistic instead of perfect. Yeah, it's a lifetime of work.
At least I have a
Well,
lifetime to work on it now.
right? That's right.
On the back page of
Yeah. You keep going back to the back page. Yeah. We all need the help at some point.
Yeah.
And it's just asking for it. It's accepting the help, because I don't think it actually snapped. The people that were helping us bringing food over and doing all the other things, when you go, wait, my daughter said, Dad, that's a blessing for them. They are blessing you. You are allowing them to be a Christian. You're allowing them to live the life they want to live by helping others. And I go, but I don't like asking for help. And you go, you didn't. And I went, yeah, you set that up, but the community was awesome. I mean, the volleyball team got together and called me out there center court and said, we would like to give you this check from all of the t-shirts we sold. You get to benefit from this, because it was a cancer awareness. And they go, it's not just breast cancer, people. And they did a really nice presentation. again made me feel really, I don't know. That's my thing. Don't give
Humble.
me the attention, right? Even though it looks like I want it, I don't. I want to be on my shell, right? Until I get behind a microphone from radio forever and you go, this guy's crazy. And he's really not. He just plays the crazy guy on the radio, right? So that personality, and like Richard said, joking around with all this stuff. But I had someone go, well, Steve, that's really not funny. You're talking about your health. And I go, okay, but what's the outcome? It's going to be good or it's going to be bad, right? I can't choose which one it's going to be. And maybe that's it. I lost control of everything. Is that my problem? I'm a narcissist.
I think it's all of our problems.
Yeah.
Really? Okay, I thought
This is where we stress out when we don't have control.
Yeah, that's true. That's see, this is why you're here. All right. I have things I need to work on, like my chair that just made me get short. That must mean we're getting close, huh? My chair gave up. And I even lost weight.
So we learned we're not perfect and we shouldn't expect perfection. And we've learned we have no real control in this life.
So let's
So
go
it
back to the
stresses us.
last page. And that's where we're going to end up, isn't it? Sorry, this chair just keeps going. I fix it. It'll be a visual stimulation. When they're listening, they'll get, what is that guy doing? I don't know. How goofy. But please tell me that you will come back and help us with all of this, because I think when Richard goes through the next steps, I've been through some of those steps and I go, hey, this is what I dealt with. But to be able to talk and help other people realize that this is a normal reaction to a terrible situation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
See, I'm learning.
You're all doing right. Good.
I don't know. If there's a test, I'm going to get a little nervous, but no, we'll be all right.
Yeah. So all we're doing as we're experiencing our emotions are doing our best to manage them well. So we don't want to express them in unhealthy ways. It's okay to have them. We just want to manage them well. And some people don't like the word manage, but I think manage is a good word for them. We want to keep them in just working for us appropriately and not out of control, which is like, if you're angry and slashing tires, that's a unhealthy way to express anger. There are healthy ways to express anger, like doing 40 push-ups or something.
Wow.
You can get that same energy
do either
out.
one of those. 40 push-ups.
Okay, 2
How many days
push-ups.
do I have? All right. No, I'm just kidding.
Just kidding.
I gotta figure out what to do with my free time after the surgery, because the doctor has me off for a minimum of 4 weeks, and I've never had 4 weeks off in a row since I was like 14 years old. I've been working since I was 14 years old. So now also, on this day I have surgery, and then okay, go sit down or go lay down for 4 weeks. Like then, for the first week there'll be people here, but the second, third, and fourth week I'm just going to be here by myself, and that's kind of concerns me. Like I don't know, like try to keep my mind busy.
Well, I think that's really good, Richard, that you're thinking about that, because that's one of the things that we always need to do when we know we're coming up on something that's hard, is to make a plan for it. So when I had surgery, I was out for like 6 weeks, and I thought, oh, I'm going to do all this. Like I was going to write and and I figured out that my mind wasn't really good for that, because I couldn't think past a few minutes. So it was really frustrating, because all my plan was cognitive based.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can do that. But I think you can, so plan some cognitive based things and whatever else you can, but just make a plan and go, okay, I'm going to do this. But have reasonable expectations also that it might not work out exactly like you plan, because if you're in pain or you just have a hard time thinking, it might just be, I just have to watch TV or play a game or something like that. But making a plan will be the biggest part that will help, and you'll be ready to,
I
do
think
that.
Another thing is I don't like pain medication. I don't like to be high. It's not like, I just don't like that feeling. And I'm not the type of person that pops pills. I know, I wouldn't really call them friends, but I know people that pop pills for entertainment purposes, and that is not me. I don't like it at all. So I'm a little worried about the first few days of that.
Yeah. Well, I'm the same way. So I'm very like, okay, now I just want to do what I have to do
Yeah.
and that's it. But yeah, I didn't use them afterwards, but I don't know what was wrong with my mind that I couldn't like think very well, but and I didn't have a lot of like just energy, like just go into the kitchen or something. I'd be like, oh, okay. And thought I was gonna go back to work in 4 weeks. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't even function. So yeah, be kind to yourself, but you may or may not have to take medication the whole time, but have a plan. That's going to help you so much and help you feel better going into it. It's like I got a plan and I have a backup plan. And so, yeah.
Steve, how long were you, like, well, you were a little bit different because you had things go on after the fact. I'm just curious when I'd be able to start driving again, because if I could just hop in my car and just go for a drive in the country for half an hour, I think that probably would help. But I don't know.
Well,
I'm not going to leave the house as long as I have a catheter. I've already told myself.
well, so your 7 to 10 days, you're going to be you've got your little bag buddy and you're going to have your bucket, and we'll talk about all of these things, right? But once you get rid of that, but I never took pain medicine. Like, I took Tylenol. They kept trying to give me stuff in the hospital and I said no. And they go, "Aren't you in pain?" And I go, "I'm dealing with the pain." "What is it?" And you that scale, you go, "It is at a 4." So it's manageable. Even though it was a 9, I'm not going to start taking that. It's like the people that go, "Hey, I'm going to start drinking because that clouds everything." But you're going to be under anesthesia for 4 hours or however long it is. That's going to affect your brain. You're going to have that little slippage where you go, "I can't get the words." It happened to me when we were talking a little while ago. It's just like, where were you going with that? My brain just shuts down. It still does it. It's getting better, but it does. It just derails. And I go, I need to rebuild the train and get it down the track. You're going to have to deal with that. But it's the walking. As soon as that catheter's out, you're in the car, you're driving. There's
Okay.
people
Good.
that say that they drove second or third day. What you really need to be aware of is the hernias from lifting anything, because you're having major abdominal surgery.
Correct.
And so you don't want to lift anything heavy. The only thing you're going to deal with that gas pain that's in your shoulders and all of the things that you do, but it's nothing that's unbearable. You had your biopsy without anything, right?
Correct.
Dude, we've got this, right? With
You
everything
have
I
the
went
leg
through.
thing without any medication.
Yeah, I have a high pain tolerance.
That's
Like, I
right.
didn't even cry when they cut my leg.
Well, see, then you're not
I
going to
think
have
it's the
anything.
military that gives us a high pain tolerance. I do. I'm like, I don't know what my number is. Like, look, I shove things down so much. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great point, because when the doctor asked me what my pain level is right now, I'm like, I don't know, man, because my pain level is not the same as everybody else's.
Right.
Right.
Compared to having my legs sawed on with no anesthesia or anything, like, where are we going here?
If that's
Look,
your
we can handle
baseline,
it all. All right. I think that is a military thing though, because I mean, I don't know, but I've learned mind over matter so much that it's like you can just push it down to be like, yeah, I have been having pain for about 3 months. I've just learned to work around it.
right.
So I don't know.
Yeah, they do teach you how to, like if something is in pain, you just focus on something else, and then you just push through it. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
You've got this.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm not.
He's been through the worst thing. I mean, goodness gracious. He's
Yeah,
going to be in a
that's what
hospital and
it's like, hey,
nobody's holding him down. I mean,
Right.
shoot.
there's going to be a lot of
It's going
people
to
in
be
there,
easy.
but they're not worrying about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going to,
They're not holding him down.
no, they're definitely not.
I told my surgeon about that. He gives me this weirdest look, and he's like, "Yeah, I do things a little bit different."
I hope.
And you just say, I'm not going to run out of the room.
Yes. Well, I did ask him, like, "Hey, from the time I check in, how long before you have an IV in me and you're pumping me full of stuff or like calm my brain down, because I'm going to be a hot mess when I walk in that hospital."
No, you're not, Richard.
No.
Nope. Don't say that. You're not. You're going to use the breathing, you're going to use the statements, and you're going to be just fine. And you do need to visualize yourself doing well at this so you don't say I'm a mess, because it is going to be a mess if you say that. Because
Yes.
then you're expecting yourself to do that and you do what you expect. So I don't mean to get on to you, but I will a little bit.
Well, I
Great
get
advice. Yes.
it because I feel like I gave my prostate cancer, because after my mom passed away, Me and my mom are like this. We were like two peas in a pod, right? So I told my wife for like 30 years, man, this is going to suck. I'm going to have my first granddaughter and I'm going to get cancer or something. And my wife's like, that's stupid. You don't even have ovaries. My mom had ovary cancer. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I have bad stuff down there. And sure enough, man, as soon as I get my first granddaughter, she's 2 years old, I prostate cancer. I was like, damn it, I knew it. I put it in the universe and I gave it to my.
You did not
Words
speak
are
that
powerful,
into
but
existence. Yeah, but come on. Now, the other things we talked about could have assisted in it, but I don't know, man. It's everyone's different, but yet we're all the same in this. And the
yeah.
mental thing is something that you have to overcome, and you have it. You've got to figure it out. The military trains you to, this is my mission. I have to do it. Now, obstacles are going to happen. Let's plan for them, right? Exactly what she's saying to do with the surgery. You don't have anything to worry about. You're 15 minutes from home. You'll get there. It'll be over. You'll be home the next day. And that's when the fun starts.
And regardless of what happens, you have the skills to get through it. And that's the thing you have to tell your brain, there is no option to walk away. And you're going to be able to, you've got everything you need to get through it. So regardless of what happens, whatever, things come up, or if it just goes smoothly, like you'll get through it. So no more, I'm freaking out. At least not where I can hear it.
That's right. We just keep
No.
saying no more stinking thinking.
Yeah, we need to tell your wife so she can say that to you too. Don't say that.
I mean, she's pretty good about that. 'Cause we were in the car earlier today, and I said, "Oh crap!" And she's like, "What?" I said, "It's almost April," and she's like, "Yes, you're going to be fine."
There you go. There's a good wife for you. We always need our stable sidekick.
Yeah, for sure. She's been a great help. So obviously, we'd want you to come back before April 23rd so we can talk again. I don't know, maybe every other week or something like that until.
No, just to check in to see her where you're at.
Well, I like her insight on the show.
Well, that's why we said she's definitely coming back.
Well, thanks.
I
I'm
want her to
flattered
be here when you get to the backside of this.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait till this is in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, but a lot of it's gonna affect you. So it's something you're gonna have to deal with, and you can't run from it. I tried to ignore things, and that didn't work. They're still there.
And this is a one part that we, especially those of the Christian faith, remind ourselves that regardless of what comes our way in life, that God is still going to use it for good. And he uses that in different ways. It might be to, develop certain character traits in us, but it might also be to encourage others. Well, I think it's always to encourage others with our journey, but it may also, this may be the one thing that helps you put that stuff that happened in the past, that was so anxiety provoking.
Yes.
Like, that's it.
So the one thing about me, anytime something bad happens to me, I try to turn it around and make it a positive. So what I decided to do after I get healthy and I'm on my feet and this stuff is behind me. So I don't know if you can read this, but this is the shirt I designed. It says, but I'm not fighting ninjas, I'm fighting cancer. And there's a ninja guy on here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a bunch of little kids shirts like this because I feel if I was this scared being a grown-ass adult, I couldn't imagine being a child going through cancer. So what I want to do is I want to print off like 20 or 30 shirts and go down to, because I'm right outside of Nashville, go down to Vanderbilt Children's Hospital and visit with the kids that are dealing with cancer and give them shirts.
Aww.
That's what I want to do.
You already have a mission. Now just stick around for that mission and everything's good. No, that's an awesome idea.
That's great.
Yeah. I mean, everything I do turns into something. Like my first podcast, TSP, it turned into one of the main, like the common denominator talking to veterans was suicide. And I had Healy on that podcast too, and we talked about it. And so that morphed into a nonprofit where I send veterans, first responders, and Gold Star family members to meaningful events. And it's not just an event, it's like a premier, like we pay for everything, club seats, ride down there, parking, dinner, drinks, we pay for it all. It's our way to get people out there out of their shell, get them out of their house and let them know that, hey, people are out there actually thinking about you and you don't have to do this journey of life by yourself. And so like everything I do, I try to turn it into something good. So if I'm going to get cancer, I'm going to turn it into something positive, and I'm going to help a child get through it also.
Good for you.
You've done a couple really good mic drops. That would be okay, people. That's going to wrap things up for this week. Yeah, that would be a good time because I'm telling you that.
Till next week.
Till
That's
next
right.
week. We're out of here. All right.
But it isn't
That's all,
an
folks.
hour. So, all right, we'll shut it down now. Did anybody else have anything before we? You're still with us, make sure you hop on over to Healy's website, and I will put the links in the show description.
So they can
And
have our.
if I can,
You can.
I think when I was on the other website, I hadn't started this yet, but I do have a podcast that's to help people kind of struggling with mental health things. So just to kind of help them learn how to cope or renew their mind or things like that. So it's called Healthy and Redeemed if anyone's interested in needing some help
Yeah.
with that.
Yes, we can put all your links in the show description.
Good.
All right. Thank you. We'll see you all next week. And thank you again, Healy. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah. I'm glad to be here. Thanks.